Hey, this is James Devine with the Music Ed Podcast, and I've got Cece Rodabush here with me, and she's going to be telling us about New Harmony Line, a great composition tool. Welcome to the podcast, Cece.
Thank you so much, James. I appreciate you having me on today. And I am happy to be here and representing New Harmony Line. And that is the parent company of the software that's called HyperScore. It's a product that came out of the MIT Media Lab. Some graduate or PhD students were working on trying to see how they could use computers and make them do composition tasks that would be easy, so easy that children could do them. And they ended up creating this incredible software that you basically draw or drop notes into your rhythm and melody windows, and then you can put them together into the sketch window. And then you can adjust things like tempo and dynamics. You can make form. There's lots of tone colors to choose from, and we keep adding additional ones all the time. We've been working with the Cornell Arts and Lab to make a set of bird instruments, bird calls. And we just continue to try new things. Like we're currently on a STEAM connection where we have written pieces in our second Saturday workshop for science, technology, engineering, and math. And of course, we cover the arts with, just writing the pieces of music. But um, really doing some interesting things. And I am so excited to be part of this because I taught HyperScore for 15 years in the junior high that I taught at. And when COVID happened, I called the company because they took our computers away and the software was on the computers. So I called and asked, "Do you have a web-based version?" And they said, "Well, that's so weird, but we're working on one right now." So when I retired in 2021, I was like, can I work for you? And they were like, "Would you work for us?" And so it's a combination made in heaven. There's four of us in the company now: executive director, the chief technology officer who used the program as a teenager and did his PhD in the MIT Media Lab, and then is now doing all the coding for HyperScore and running the program. And then we also have just added a marketing director. So, doing some really cool things, starting to get known internationally. It's really awesome.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Did you get a chance to look at it, James?
I had a chance to look at it a little bit. I just recently retired myself, and so it's been a very busy year trying to figure out
Uh-huh.
how I'm going to make this self-employment stuff work. But it looks like a really cool program. Tell us maybe a little bit about the steps that a student would go through to use that.
Well, thank you so much for asking that. We have, in the last couple of years, taken on the methodology of one of the people who worked on HyperScore originally. And Dr. Kevin Jennings, is from Dublin, Ireland, and he has what he calls the inverted pedagogy, where the importance of doing this composition unit is to let the child be creative first. So you let the child write their piece of music, and then you're going back and showing them, that rhythm thing we talked about, that's what you did right here. And this is a sequence, and this is, you've used a neighboring tone, or anything that you want to talk about theoretically is done after they've done their creativity, because um, then that removes any barriers that they have. If they haven't had theory, if they've moved to school and the school they were at before didn't even have music classes, they're not going to have that basis if you go from a theory standpoint for kids to write music. So the idea is that anybody can sit down and write music as long as you have the internet and a device. You open up this rhythm screen, you can drop it's a grid. So if it's in groups of 4, you're going to see a 4 by 4 grid. For the rhythm window, you can see the 10 instrument choices on the side there. You can change and add different instruments in there, but you drop your note, and I don't even have to tell the children that if you fill in one column, you've done a quarter note. And if you take the little sidebar and move it over, you can make an eighth or a 16th, or you can drag it all the way to the right and make a whole note. If we're letting them do creative composing, then they're just going to put stuff in there that they like to hear. And our process is called create, listen, and react. So they create the music. We constantly say, have you listened to your piece? And then the reaction is, do you like what you're hearing? If you don't like it, adjust it, and then get back to work until you feel like you're done. So I always started with the kids writing rhythms. That seems to be something they inherently understand. It's something they've heard. It's something they've experienced. So we write rhythms and then we write melodies. And instead of focusing on, anything theoretical, we say, I usually have them start in the middle line, which they do not know is middle C. And then they have lines above and below that they can drag their notes up and down. So I have them start on middle C just so they're kind of in a key. And then they place a note higher or lower. Do you like it better higher? Or do you like it better lower? Does it need to be longer, shorter? Listen to the whole thing. You put 3 notes in, listen to it again. Is there anything you want to adjust? And then the rhythm and melody window pull out so that you can add extra measures to those. So, you can have a 1 measure rhythm and a 4 measure melody. That's flexibility with the program. You can change the time signature on that melody window, change the instrumentation, just like you can in the rhythm window. And then the awesome thing is you can put those 2 things together in the sketch window. So if the rhythm is has a little red dot on the window, kids who want to do curved lines and dots, spell their names. And then there's kids who are going to want it. Just a second, I see it. Okay, am I back?
Yes.
Okay, so there's going to be students who want it to sound exactly like they wrote it, and so I show them how to use the shift key and hold that while they draw, and that makes a straight line so that none of the notes that they wrote have any changes. There's a bunch of theory behind the sketch window coded into the sketch window. So if a student makes the line go up to the right, the coding behind the program is going to make their melody rise and adjust up to the right. So we also have an opportunity to change. It can be exactly like it was written, or you can put it into general, which is going to go in and adjust some of the pitches. I say when I hear it, it sounds like there's less dissonance if you hit the general button. And then there's a button called classical, and it does a lot of adjusting. So it's going to be more like music that you might hear classical or on the radio. But I'll say to the kids, I call it the Mozart button. And I said, do you want to be Mozart? Do you want to be a little fixed up with the general button, or do you want it to sound exactly like you? And so they have an opportunity there to do some adjustment with that sketch window. And then I think one of the best parts about it is that we use title, the title of the piece, listener understand what they're listening to, what the idea behind what the student heard. They're telling this story through their music. So what is it that they heard? So it might be, I've heard things like cats dancing on the piano and ice cream melting in the summer. But we had an opportunity in our second Saturday workshop. We wrote a piece where one of the ladies in the workshop suggested that we write about a capybara. Do you know what that is, James?
No, what is that?
It is the world's biggest rodent. It looks like a giant gerbil or hamster, and it lives in Australia. And they're absolutely adorable. I don't know if they're nice animals, but they're adorable. So we wrote this piece, and the lady decided that she sang a little tune that was going to be Cappy's theme. And then we talked about, he needs to have movement. So we had a walking and a running theme with the rhythm windows. And then, of course, he had to have an antagonist. So there was an alligator because he has to cross some water to get to his food, which was part of the storyline. And we wrote this delightful little piece where, that rising tension of the capybaras crossing the water, and here comes the alligator, and who's going to win the race to the other side, and all of a sudden we hear capybara walking and eating the fruit, and it's so cute. And what I found is when I show it, if I show that to children, they instantly understand that you could tell a story. It's like programmatic music. And some of the kids will elect to do that, like storytelling kind of thing. And some kids will just put music down and see what they hear. And I always say, what does it make you think of? And I had a student once who said, it sounds like somebody swimming in the water. And I said, well, tell me more about them swimming in the water. And they said, I think they dove into the pool and they're going from one side to the other. And he ended up calling his piece The Divers. And the interesting thing about that was when you look visually at the sketch window that he drew, he had a line across the whole screen, and then he had something that was above and then came down below that line. And it looked like somebody diving into the water and going across the screen. And so,
Wow.
yeah, that student was seeing something visual in their music rather than, necessarily telling the story through their music. They saw visually that they had somebody diving in the water. And I've used this program. We had some people in Boston who were doing 3-year and 4-year-olds. The youngest I've ever done is kindergarten, and I've used it all the way through 12th grade. And then last year I had a program at the senior center in Iowa City, and worked with some people to write music in at the senior center. So I'm a trained music therapist, so I've worked with children with special needs. So we have a lot of modified materials for people with special needs. If they're having to make a choice of two, they're not able to speak or say that they want this note to go here. And so we might have choices visual of high, middle, and low, and they can touch and tell which one they want to do. So we've done some modifications for the program in order to be able to use it. And the cool thing, James, is this is all free on our website. So, if anybody wants to turn around and use this, I always loved a workshop where on Monday morning you could turn around and use it in your class. This is something that you could turn around and use Monday morning in your classroom and get your kids trying composing, which is in the National Core Art Standards K-12. So I'm gonna go ahead.
And they can find that at newharmonyline.org. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
awesome. And I know when we first connected, because we had talked about how this would be a little bit hard to do as an audio versus a visual podcast, and you said that there were a lot of videos available. How can people find a video that kind of shows this in action?
Our wonderful Chief Technology Officer has made 1-minute tooltips, which is perfect because, okay, maybe you only want to learn one thing today. In a minute, you'll know how to use a tool. They're right under our resources tab. There are the 1-minute tooltips, and then there are tips on how to use the different, we have different levels of the Hyperscore, and then a teacher version called the Hyperscore Classroom, where you can group students, and there's videos for how to do everything. If there's something I run across when I'm in the classroom demonstrating Hyperscore or working with a classroom, I often do it as a substitute. That'll be, if I do a long-term sub, I'll do it as a unit. If I run across something, I'll say, Peter, we need a video on this. And he'll put a video in on something that, I've used it for years, but somebody who's inexperienced might not know how to do something. So that is all available on our website for free.
Awesome. And you said you taught this for 14 years. Can you tell me, was this you taught this all by itself, or did you teach this as part of another class, or how did you do that during that time?
Okay. Well, in 2007, I went to a workshop at the University of Iowa, and the professor who at the time worked with those students and created who created the program, he brought it out because he thought it was such an incredible tool. And it was called hyperscore.com at the time. And he came to do a workshop about it. And I literally sat in my chair. I was working with seventh graders at the time, seventh and eighth graders at the time, and my mouth dropped because at the time, they had added a literacy class in Iowa City. So I did not have any band or orchestra or choir students. I might have a piano player, I might have a singer, I might have a guitar player, but most of the kids in my room did not consider themselves musicians. So when you ask somebody to write a piece of music, that's pretty intimidating. But I saw this program, and I saw that you could drop music on the screen and listen to what you'd made and make judgments. And I said, oh my gosh, I want this. And I ended up teaching it for 15 years and then joining the company and running the pilot program for this web-based version that we have now. And I continue to go out and teach other people. But the class that I was teaching at the time was called music technology.
Uh-huh.
And I have since discovered by going to like TMEA and different organizations that music tech is huge. I had no idea there was an academy at Music Tech. I went to one of their sessions and realized that he was talking about the teacher from the old days who had spliced tape in their classroom. You know, kids were splicing tape and using one single computer in the room. And I was laughing because my first year of teaching junior high, there was a tape splicing kit and one computer. I was like, that's me. But now fast forward to when I left in 2021, every student has a device, and every student was writing their own individual pieces of music. What an amazing, in 15 years, they'd gone from, one little computer to every kid being able to write their own music in my music tech class.
I
And
tell
then, go ahead.
I was going to say, I really love when you were talking about the process you use with the create, listen, and react.
Uh-huh.
I really love that, especially with getting them to write first. I actually do the same thing when I'm teaching improvisation, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of kids were like, "Well, I don't know how to do it," and it's like, "Well, start with something, and we'll take that where you're at, and then add to it." But you got to start with something to get it moving to something different.
Mm-hmm. And that is one of the things we're working on now. We have a international hyperscore challenge, and what we're doing is providing prompts like short pieces of a video game or silent movie or um, let's see, what's that called? Creative Commons, where you can go in and get somebody's made this cute. There's a little cute thing about a kid eating a watermelon, an animated short, and we're asking kids to make music that goes with those video games. So the student, like your students who are sitting down to improv and say, I don't even know where to start. Or like my boy who wrote the divers piece, is having an idea before you start about what you're wanting to portray. Something, having a prompt is an excellent way to get people started. Like, I don't know, maybe in an improvisation, you'd start with an ostinato and then have somebody just, play improvisation. But prompts are a great way to get started too.
Awesome. Hey, we're getting down to the last few minutes. If you could just
Okay.
remind everybody where to go to find this, or even to how to contact you if you're open to that also.
Certainly, 100%. I really appreciate you talking to me because I know the main thing you did was a band teacher. And those programs are wonderful and fabulous. And there might be kids within that who want to compose, but there might be kids in the school who don't fit into the non-traditional or the traditional performance programs like band, orchestra, choir. And this is an opportunity for them to do something that's musical. The last year of teaching, I taught a class called Hear My Voice at the high school that was for exactly that. The kids in band, orchestra, choir that wanted to do something different than what they were doing in performance music. And then the kids who did not find a home anywhere else in the music program. And so hopefully, if you have listeners out there that are in a school where they have a music tech class or they have an opportunity to teach the kids who are not in band, orchestra, or choir, or those kids want to do some composing, this would be a great unit, a great opportunity for people. They would go to www.newharmonyline.org, then they can contact me. And my full name is Cecilia. So probably best to go to the website because people always say they can't spell my name. CECILIA.ROUDABUSH at newharmonyline.org. But I'm right there on the website at the bottom of the first page. And you can also put in to ask a question. I answer the educational support questions, and I am here to help the teachers. I'm writing a curriculum right now, but I'm the one, if you called and asked an educational question, I would be the one that would get the question and then respond to you. So I'm here to share something that I absolutely love. I mean, I didn't even question when I retired that I was going to go on and do something else. And when I was able to do something that I actually love, how wonderful is that? I didn't retire. I refreshed into a wonderful new career with this program. I just believe in its abilities and what it can do for kids.
Are you there still?
Yep.
Okay.
I thought
All
maybe I lost you. Did you hear?
We lost you when you said about I really love this and what it can do for kids, and then it dropped off.
Okay, so let me just repeat that part. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. I'm so excited about what this can do for students who don't have another creative outlet or want an additional creative outlet. And I hope that everybody who is interested in that composition standard wants to take a look at that program. And I'm here to help you. Please do contact me.
Cece, thank you so much. This is a very exciting program, and I love that it spans the ages from kindergarten to senior citizens. And thank you for, I love that you said too, that you refreshed instead of retired. I feel the same way. It's just a shift. I'm still involved in music education and doing some different things, but thank you so much for giving up some of your time to be with me today. And I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, James. So nice to meet you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
The Music Ed Podcast, where you get quick and easy tips for how to be a better band teacher.